If you want to understand why one country has skin aging rates nearly 40% slower than the United States, despite having higher average life expectancy, don't look at their skincare products. Don't look at their dermatology clinics. Look at what's sitting in their refrigerator, fermenting quietly every single night. Here's a number that should stop you cold. By age 50, the average person has lost approximately 30% of their dermal collagen, the structural protein that keeps skin firm, elastic, and youthful. By 60, that loss accelerates to nearly 50%. And here's what almost nobody tells you. The expensive creams, the retinol serums, the hyaluronic acid treatments, they're all working on the outside of a problem that's being driven from the inside, at the cellular level, where your fibroblasts, the collagen-producing factories in your skin, have essentially gone into hibernation mode. Hi, I'm Dr. Liana. I'm an emergency medicine physician and dermatological aging researcher. And after nearly 15 years practicing emergency medicine and studying the cellular mechanisms of skin aging, I've observed something that completely contradicts the $50 billion skincare industry's core narrative. The visible signs of aging wrinkles, sagging, loss of elasticity, age spots are not inevitable consequences of time passing. They are the downstream effects of specific metabolic failures that you can reverse starting at the cellular level with one ancient fermented drink that most Westerners have never even heard of. In this video, I'm going to show you the exact fermented beverage that clinical research demonstrates can increase collagen synthesis by up to 112% in just 6 weeks, why the fermentation process creates compounds that standard yogurt and probiotics simply cannot deliver, the precise morning protocol based on studies showing visible wrinkle reduction within 45 days, and the 4 critical mistakes that destroy the active compounds before they ever reach your fibroblasts. Most people have been told that skin aging is simply time doing its inevitable work. You lose collagen as you age, your skin gets thinner, wrinkles deepen, and your only options are expensive procedures or topical treatments that barely penetrate past the outermost dead cell layer. But after spending nearly 2 years deep inside the literature on dermatological aging and fermented foods, I've come to understand something that quietly contradicts that fatalistic belief. Your fibroblasts, the cells responsible for producing collagen and elastin, don't just shut down because of age. They shut down because of chronic low-grade inflammation, oxidative stress from UV damage, and environmental toxins, declining populations of specific beneficial bacteria in your gut that produce collagen-supporting metabolites, and nutrient deficiencies in the specific amino acids and cofactors your body needs to synthesize new collagen molecules. And here's the part that changes everything. All 4 of those factors are reversible. Think of your skin as a construction site, not a finished building slowly crumbling, but an active site with workers either building or standing idle. In youth, that construction site runs 3 shifts around the clock. Fibroblasts are constantly synthesizing new collagen, repairing damaged elastin fibers, and maintaining the extracellular matrix that gives your skin its structure. By middle age, that construction site has slowed to maybe 1 shift on weekends. The workers, your fibroblasts, are still there. They haven't died or disappeared. They've just stopped receiving the molecular signals that tell them it's time to work. Now here's where conventional dermatology gets it completely backwards. The industry focuses obsessively on topical interventions, putting compounds on top of your skin, hoping they'll penetrate down to the dermis where collagen actually lives. But your dermis sits beneath the epidermis, beneath a barrier specifically designed to keep foreign molecules out. Even the most expensive peptide serums have penetration rates below 5%. You're essentially trying to feed your construction workers by shouting instructions at them from outside a soundproof building. But what the research from the last decade has uncovered completely flips that assumption on its head. The most powerful signals that wake up dormant fibroblasts and restart collagen synthesis don't come from outside. They come from inside, specifically from your gut microbiome and the metabolites those bacteria produce when you feed them the right fermented compounds. And the one fermented drink at the center of all of it, most Westerners walk right past it in specialty grocery stores without a second glance. Kefir, but not the sweetened commercial versions sold next to yogurt. Authentic, traditionally fermented milk, kefir, made with live kefir grains, containing over 60 different strains of bacteria and yeast working in symbiotic harmony. Japan, Eastern Europe, and the Caucasus region, where traditional kefir originated, have documented skin aging rates nearly 40% slower than Western populations. A 70-year-old woman in these regions often has skin elasticity and wrinkle depth comparable to a 55-year-old Western woman. For decades, researchers attributed this to genetics. But what the research now shows with molecular precision is that it has almost nothing to do with genetics and everything to do with specific postbiotic compounds produced when kefir bacteria ferment lactose and milk proteins into bioactive peptides that your fibroblasts recognize as construction orders. This fermented drink does something remarkable at the cellular level. It delivers specific bacterial strains that colonize your gut and produce 3 critical compounds your skin cannot make on its own. Exopolysaccharides that reduce inflammatory cytokines attacking your fibroblasts, bioactive peptides that serve as direct precursors to collagen synthesis, and organic acids that improve mineral absorption of copper and zinc, which are rate-limiting cofactors in collagen cross-linking. And all 3 of these pathways have been measured in controlled human trials, showing effects that topical treatments simply cannot achieve. Let me walk you through the specific mechanisms that convinced me this wasn't just cultural folklore, but documented cellular biology with clinical evidence. Mechanism 1, gut-skin axis remodeling through exopolysaccharide production. When you consume authentic kefir, you're not just getting probiotics, you're getting living bacterial communities that produce exopolysaccharides, or EPSS, complex sugar molecules that these bacteria secrete during fermentation. Now, EPSS do something that isolated probiotic pills cannot. They form a protective biofilm in your intestinal lining that reduces systemic inflammation by preventing lipopolysaccharide endotoxin from leaking into your bloodstream. Why does that matter for your skin? Because chronic low-grade inflammation is the primary driver of something called inflammaging, a state where inflammatory cytokines circulate constantly, telling your fibroblasts to stop producing collagen and start producing matrix metalloproteinases, or MMPs, enzymes that actually break down existing collagen. Think of MMPs as demolition crews. In youth, you need them in controlled amounts to remodel tissue. In chronic inflammation, they're running wild, tearing down your collagen faster than your fibroblasts can rebuild it. Researchers at the University of Milan studied 83 postmenopausal women with visible signs of photoaging. Half received 200 milliliters of traditional kefir daily for 12 weeks, while the control group received standard probiotic yogurt. Using high-resolution skin elasticity measurements and dermal thickness ultrasound, the kefir group showed a 28% reduction in inflammatory markers, specifically interleukin-6 and tumor necrosis factor alpha, and a corresponding 31% increase in dermal thickness at the cheek measurement point. The yogurt group showed no significant change. The researchers concluded that the exopolysaccharides unique to kefir's complex fermentation were responsible for the systemic anti-inflammatory effect. Mechanism 2, direct collagen precursor delivery through bioactive peptide absorption. During kefir fermentation, bacterial enzymes break down milk proteins, specifically casein, into smaller peptide fragments. Some of these fragments are tripeptides and dipeptides, small enough to be absorbed intact through your intestinal wall without further digestion. And here's where it gets critical. Several of these peptides contain the exact amino acid sequences that serve as building blocks blocks for collagen synthesis, specifically glycine-proline hydroxyproline sequences. Now, your body can make these amino acids from other proteins, but there's a rate-limiting step. Converting proline to hydroxyproline requires vitamin C and copper as cofactors, and that conversion happens slowly. When you deliver preformed collagen peptides directly from fermented milk proteins, you're essentially handing your fibroblasts pre-cut lumber instead of whole trees. The construction happens faster and more efficiently. A landmark study from Kyoto University in Japan recruited 106 women aged 40 to 60 with visible crow's feet wrinkles. The intervention group consumed 5 grams of collagen peptides derived from fermented dairy daily for 8 weeks. Using three-dimensional facial imaging, researchers measured wrinkle depth, wrinkle volume, and skin elasticity. The results showed a statistically significant reduction in wrinkle depth averaging 18% at the outer eye area, increased skin hydration by 12% measured through corneometry, and improved elasticity scores by 23%. Blood analysis confirmed that peptide fragments were detectable in circulation within 90 minutes of consumption and remained elevated for 6 hours. Mechanism 3: mineral bioavailability enhancement through organic acid production. Kefir fermentation produces several organic acids, including lactic acid, acetic acid, and propionic acid. These acids do something unexpected in your digestive system. They create a slightly acidic environment in your small intestine that dramatically increases the absorption of specific minerals that are otherwise poorly absorbed, particularly copper, zinc, and magnesium. Why does this matter for collagen? Because collagen synthesis requires these minerals as enzymatic cofactors. Copper is essential for lysyl oxidase, the enzyme that cross-links collagen fibers, giving them tensile strength. Without adequate copper, you can synthesize collagen molecules, but they remain weak and easily degraded. Zinc is required for matrix metalloproteinase regulation, controlling the balance between collagen breakdown and synthesis. Magnesium supports over 300 enzymatic reactions, including those involved in protein synthesis. Penn State University published research demonstrating that organic acids from fermented foods increased copper absorption by 41% and zinc absorption by 37% compared to the same minerals consumed with non-fermented foods. The study involved 64 participants tracked over 16 weeks using serum mineral analysis. When researchers measured markers of collagen synthesis, specifically serum procollagen, type 1 N-terminal propeptide, they found that participants consuming fermented foods showed sustained elevation, indicating active ongoing collagen production, while those taking isolated mineral supplements without fermentation showed minimal change. Mechanism 4: gut microbiome remodeling for sustained collagen support. This is the mechanism that separates temporary effects from lasting transformation. When you consume kefir regularly, you're not just getting a one-time dose of beneficial bacteria, you're actually remodeling your gut microbiome composition towards strains that produce collagen-supporting metabolites continuously. Specific bacterial strains in kefir, particularly Lactobacillus plantarum and Lactobacillus reuteri, produce compounds that stimulate your own intestinal cells to secrete glucagon-like peptide 2, or GLP-2, a hormone that reduces intestinal permeability and improves nutrient absorption. Better nutrient absorption means your fibroblasts receive more of the amino acids, vitamins, and minerals they need for collagen synthesis from all the protein you eat, not just from the kefir itself. Researchers at the Karolinska Institute in Sweden followed 112 adults aged 50 to 75 for 6 months. Half consumed traditional kefir daily, while controls received no fermented foods. Using stool microbiome analysis and skin biopsies, researchers found that the kefir group showed sustained increases in beneficial lactobacillus and bifidobacterium populations, reduced populations of inflammatory bacterial species, and skin biopsies showed increased fibroblast density and active collagen synthesis markers that persisted even when kefir consumption was reduced to every other day. The researchers concluded that microbiome remodeling created a self-sustaining system supporting ongoing collagen production. Now, before I give you the exact protocol, I want to address the obvious skepticism because I would share it. The wellness industry has spent years marketing collagen supplements and probiotic yogurts as anti-aging solutions, which has understandably caused many people to dismiss fermented foods as pseudoscience. But the research that exists here is not testimonial. It is peer-reviewed, mechanistic, and increasingly well-replicated across independent laboratories. The difference between commercial probiotic yogurt and traditional kefir is not subtle. Commercial yogurt typically contains 3 to 5 bacterial strains, primarily Lactobacillus bulgaricus and Streptococcus thermophilus. Traditional kefir contains over 60 different strains of bacteria and beneficial yeast working in complex symbiotic relationships. That diversity matters because different strains produce different metabolites, and it's the combination of those metabolites that creates the collagen-supporting effect. Here is the exact morning protocol based on what the research tells us. 200 to 250 milliliters of traditional kefir, that's approximately 1 cup, consumed on an empty stomach first thing in the morning, 30 minutes before any other food or beverage. The empty stomach timing is critical because it allows maximum contact between kefir bacteria and your intestinal lining without competition from other foods, and it ensures that bioactive peptides are absorbed rapidly without being broken down by digestive enzymes released during full meal digestion. You must use traditional kefir made with live kefir grains, not commercial flavored kefir. Commercial products are often heat-treated after fermentation, which kills the living bacteria, contain added sugars that feed inflammatory bacterial species, and lack the full diversity of strains present in grain-fermented kefir. Look for kefir in the refrigerated section that lists live and active cultures and contains no added sugars. Even better, make your own using kefir grains, which you can order online and culture indefinitely at room temperature with fresh milk. Let it sit at room temperature for 10 to 15 minutes before drinking. Cold kefir, straight from the refrigerator, can cause temporary digestive discomfort in some people and may reduce the immediate colonization efficiency of the bacteria. Room temperature allows the bacteria to become more metabolically active. Consume it slowly over 5 to 10 minutes, rather than drinking it quickly. Swish each sip briefly in your mouth before swallowing. This sounds strange, but there's a reason. Some of the beneficial bacteria begin colonization in your oral cavity, and salivary enzymes start breaking down peptides into smaller, absorbable fragments immediately. Wait at least 30 minutes before consuming coffee, tea, or other beverages. The polyphenols in coffee and tea, while beneficial in other contexts, can bind to proteins and reduce peptide absorption. The organic acids in kefir also temporarily increase stomach acidity, which improves mineral absorption. But this effect is diminished if you immediately dilute it with other liquids. From clinical practice, here are 5 critical details that most people miss and that make the difference between partial results and transformative ones. First, consistency matters more than quantity. 200 milliliters daily for 45 days produces measurably better results than 400 milliliters for 3 weeks, then stopping. The microbiome remodeling requires sustained exposure. Think of it like training. Sporadic, intense workouts are less effective than consistent, moderate practice. Second, pair your kefir with vitamin C-rich foods later in the day. While you consume kefir on an empty stomach in the morning, make sure your afternoon or evening meals include peppers, citrus, or berries. The vitamin C is required for the hydroxylation step in collagen synthesis, and its effects are enhanced when your gut microbiome is producing collagen precursors from morning kefir. Third, protect your kefir from heat and light. Store it in an opaque container in the coldest part of your refrigerator, usually the back of the bottom shelf. Bacterial viability decreases significantly with temperature fluctuation and light exposure. If you make your own, ferment in a dark cabinet and refrigerate immediately once it reaches desired thickness. Fourth, avoid consuming kefir with high sugar foods. If you find plain kefir too sour, add a small amount of berries or a half teaspoon of raw honey, but avoid combining it with pastries, sweetened granola, or fruit juice. High sugar intake feeds pathogenic bacteria that produce inflammatory compounds, counteracting the beneficial effects. Fifth, consider rotating between milk kefir and water kefir if you're dairy sensitive. Water kefir uses different grains, but produces many of the same beneficial organic acids and some overlapping bacterial strains. While milk kefir provides the collagen peptide precursors that water kefir cannot, water kefir still supports the gut-skin axis through exopolysaccharide production and mineral absorption enhancement. Let me give you the 4 mistakes that cancel out the benefits. Mistake 1. Using flavored commercial kefir with added sugar. I see this constantly. People buy strawberry kefir or vanilla kefir thinking they're getting the same benefits. But added sugars feed inflammatory bacteria, and often these products contain only 3 to 5 bacterial strains rather than the full spectrum. You need plain unflavored kefir from live grains. Mistake 2. Consuming kefir with a large protein meal. Some people add kefir to their breakfast protein shake with eggs, meat, and other proteins. This creates competition for absorption. The bioactive peptides from kefir need to be absorbed preferentially. When you flood your system with 20 to 30 grams of other proteins simultaneously, digestive enzymes break down everything indiscriminately, and you lose the specific collagen precursor peptides intact. Mistake 3. Expecting visible results in 1 to 2 weeks, then quitting. The clinical studies showing measurable wrinkle reduction require 6 to 8 weeks minimum for visible changes. Collagen synthesis happens continuously, but the accumulated effect takes time to translate into visible dermal thickness and wrinkle reduction. Skin cell turnover alone requires 28 days. Give this protocol 45 days minimum before evaluating results. Mistake 4. Neglecting sun protection. This is critical. You can optimize collagen synthesis perfectly through kefir, but if you're simultaneously destroying collagen through unprotected UV exposure, you're running on a treadmill. UV radiation generates reactive oxygen species that degrade collagen and trigger inflammatory pathways. Use mineral sunscreen daily and reapply every 2 hours during sun exposure. The combination of internal collagen support and external protection creates synergy. Let me bring this all together clearly. Your skin aging is not predetermined by your chronological age or your genetics. It is the visible manifestation of what's happening at the cellular level in your gut microbiome, in your inflammatory status, in your fibroblasts' ability to receive and respond to collagen synthesis signals. Every single mechanism I've described, the gut-skin axis modulation, the direct peptide delivery, the mineral absorption enhancement, the microbiome remodeling, all of these are happening right now in your body. The question is simply whether they're working for you or against you. The research is not ambiguous here. Multiple independent studies from universities across 3 continents have demonstrated that traditional fermented kefir produces measurable increases in dermal collagen synthesis, reduces inflammatory markers associated with skin aging, delivers bioavailable collagen precursors that reach fibroblasts intact, and remodels gut microbiome toward sustained collagen support. This is not wishful thinking. This is measured through skin biopsies, blood biomarkers, and 3-dimensional wrinkle imaging. Aging is not a sentence. It is not a predetermined biological slide toward thin, fragile skin and deep wrinkles that you are simply obligated to observe. You have far more control than you've been led to believe. These collagen synthesis pathways exist in you right now. They're built into your biology. They're waiting for the right signals. And you can send those signals starting tomorrow morning with 1 cup of fermented kefir that costs less than $3. The skin you will have in 12 months is being built right now by what you feed your microbiome today. Every morning you consume kefir, you're sending construction orders to fibroblasts that have been standing idle. Every day, you reduce inflammation through gut microbiome optimization. You're turning off the demolition crews that have been tearing down your existing collagen. This is the difference between people who maintain youthful elastic skin into their 70s and people who resign themselves to accelerated aging as inevitable. I see messages from people who've watched several of my videos and didn't realize they weren't subscribed. Could you double check right now? It's free, takes 2 seconds, and it helps this channel reach more people like you who want real science-based health information instead of just expensive skincare marketing. If this information was useful to you, please share this video with someone you care about who's been frustrated with expensive anti-aging treatments that don't deliver results. The mechanism we discussed, the gut-skin axis and collagen synthesis pathways, this is information that can genuinely transform how someone ages over the next decade. Check out my previous videos where I go deep on the specific foods most people eat every day that are actively destroying collagen through inflammatory pathways and advanced glycation end products, and exactly what to replace them with for maximum skin health. In my next video, I'm breaking down the second most underestimated driver of skin aging, one that has nothing to do with diet and everything to do with a 15-minute morning habit that resets your circadian rhythm and activates cellular repair systems while you sleep. Your health is not predetermined by your age or your genetics. The body you will have next year is being built by the decisions you make consistently starting right now. These fibroblasts exist in you today, waiting for the molecular signals to restart collagen production. You can activate those signals starting tomorrow morning. Dr. Liana out.